Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and Matt Walsh absolutely destroys this woke student's entire ideology.
You actually started by saying that blocking puberty, which is chemical castration of a child,
Just one example, yeah.
is life-saving.
It can be.
How do you know?
Because there are children who have been suicidal that have had these interventions made.
What children? How do you know? And how many children have had that done
Me personally,
and then
I
are
haven't
still
met
suicidal?
children. Me personally, I haven't met enough trans children to answer that question.
Okay.
But I know
You
that
are
the
making-
research exists.
You're making this statement, you're stating it as a fact in front of all these people. There must be a reason, there must be something that you encountered that led you to this rather radical conclusion that to save a child's life, you have to chemically castrate him.
Not every child. No, sir.
Okay, well, that is what you just said. The drugs we give to kids for puberty blockers, so-called puberty blockers, originally are cancer drugs used to treat prostate cancer. They're also used to chemically castrate sex offenders and child rapists. Now we give them to physically healthy kids. You're saying that we need to do that or they will die. And so one last time I'm going to ask you, what evidence do you have of that remarkable claim?
I don't think I claimed that every child would benefit from that.
Well, no, I didn't say you did.
Okay,
You
well,
said
you-
that
no,
puberty
you did,
blockers
you did.
you said puberty blockers are life-saving.
She doesn't know, does she? She doesn't know. She has gotten this information secondhand and has passed it on as truth and is now telling everyone that this is true, when in reality, she is telling a half-truth and doesn't even have the full context. Matt Walsh is about to lay into her like nothing I've seen in a while.
What
I
evidence do
said
you have for that?
they can be.
So
The
how do you
evidence
know?
is the encounters with patients who have had these procedures done, and it has saved their, I don't want to say it saved their lives, but it has made their lives better. I can't confirm whether or not they're alive right this second, but there are children that it has helped. So what do you have to say for the happy trans community who has benefited from these procedures? That's my question
I guess what
for
I have
you.
to say is that your entire question is built on a whole stack of false premises that you can't begin to even remotely defend. So it's a faulty question from the start. I reject your premise. I absolutely reject that there are any kids who need to be chemically castrated in order to be happy.
Okay.
Let's unpack this without really diving into some of the more tougher things to talk about here. Let's start off with this. Matt Walsh is not making his best possible argument. What he is doing, however, and this is what I do commend him for, he is trying to get this leftist who has her heart in the right place. I think she genuinely cares about people. I think she generally cares about this issue. But she doesn't cite any source. She has been given secondhand knowledge, and she passes it off as truth. And then he does something that left-leaners will usually do when they're arguing. They'll appeal to authority. The right wing used to do this back when the evangelicals were in full control. They aren't anymore. And they would appeal to God, or they would appeal to the Constitution. Left-wingers will appeal to education. They'll appeal to the experts. When we've found these institutions to be morally bankrupt, intellectually dishonest, and absolutely disgusting, in pretty much top to bottom at this point. And so this appeal to authority argument isn't really about should we be transing our kids. The appeal to authority is an attempt to get this student to recognize that she hasn't thought this all the way through. So initially, I wanted to criticize Matt Walsh a little bit, but I think I understand exactly what he's trying to do. And it's very triggering for this little lefty. Now, folks, if you want to trigger liberals in your life, go over to my friends at basebuy.shop, link in the description below, and show the world how conservative you really are. So, if you want to appeal to authority, here's something. This is actually something I pulled from congress.gov. Proponents of puberty blockers contend there's little downside. The Department of Health and Human Services claim that puberty blockers are reversible. It admits the evidence that by impeding the usual process of sexual orientation and gender identity development, these drugs effectively lock in children and young people to a treatment pathway. In other words, it's saying that there is no going back. It forces these kids to keep coming back for more of these hormones. And that is fundamentally dishonest. The way the media has presented this, or at least the mainstream media, has presented puberty blockers as a positive therapy comes from some very shady studies that this is actually helpful to people in the trans community who have gender dysphoria. Well, the numbers say it's helpful, but there aren't any guardrails here. This is like a stretch of road that's over at Lake Tahoe. It's a 300, there aren't any guardrails. You have about 2 feet of clearance. There's a 300-foot drop on one side and a 1,000-foot drop on the other. So you have to be careful and thread the needle that certain people don't need to be doing this for therapy. And as a matter of fact, need completely different styles of therapy in order to help them with their gender dysphoria. And instead of that, instead of taking the let's help people where they're at mentality, the media picked up the puberty blockers study and said, this is a good thing, celebrate it. When in reality, what we're seeing are the unintended consequences. That's just the reality, and it's not a mean thing to say that. So Walsh is correct. He gets something that I'm a little nitpicky about. He gets it technically wrong on the issue of appealing to authority when pretty much all of our authorities, all of our experts and institutions are just genuinely terrible now. And he's trying to get this student to realize that she has not thought this all the way through. This is, in my opinion, one of his more brilliant moments, and I hope that that's the same takeaway that you have here today. Folks, my name is Brian. Catch you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on PolitiBrawl, and until then, y'all have a good one.